This is quite literally impossible.
I'm going to spoil the secret to this video right now, guys. This is not actually real, it's AI. Countless people have tagged me in this video. It's gone super viral on TikTok. In it, we can see a goat on the side of a building. The cameraman zooms in, we can see the goat looks like it's standing on nothing, and a lot of people were confused as to how this was possible. Now again, this is AI, but believe it or not, goats actually do have the ability to climb like this. Specifically, mountain goats have specialized hooves that are very malleable, allowing them to go over uneven terrain, and the center area here is soft, which allows them to grip better. And because of their specialized hooves, they're able to climb things of up to 60 degrees or more. Here you can see them climbing up a near vertical brick wall. Here's another example of a group of mountain goats climbing up a 140-foot wall, and they are not going to fall, they'll make it up just fine.
He superglued his lips completely shut.
What is this alcohol?
Okay, I'm really not too sure what this guy expected to happen, but it's pretty clear this was going to be the outcome. This is a shocking video that I actually scrolled across myself this time, and it shows this guy applying something that looks like lip balm. But then he shows the actual product that he applied, which turns out to be super glue, and after a few seconds of trying to open his mouth, he realizes that he's really screwed up. The poor guy even starts crying. As everyone knows, super glue binds very well to skin. Everyone has done this once or twice on their fingers and pulled it apart and had it look like this. But fortunately for this guy, there are actually solutions to getting this off your lip besides just tearing off the skin. First off, acetone or nail polish remover does a great job of breaking up super glue, and it's minimally toxic. Still don't want to swallow. And the second thing that works surprisingly well for removing adhesive is peanut butter. Who would have thought? So you've got a couple options if this happens to you, peanut butter or acetone. This is quite possibly one of the For 2 whole years, I have been a meme, since 2023, and I have never seen anything like this in the entire time. This video was uploaded by OneToilet_Speedrunner1. His bio, I'm not trying to offend anyone. Well, guess what, buddy? You just offended me. First, you bait me with the thumbnail here being a normal video. I thought this was going to be an edit or something. And the next second, I'm disassembled and lying on the ground. How the hell did you do this, bro? What did you do to my head? And then out of nowhere, you turn me into a helicopter. Bro, did you pop acid before doing this? Who even thinks about something like this? And of course, you started a whole new movement and terminology, something people have never said before, the IdkCopter or the IdCopter. And there are still hundreds of people dragging this. Does anyone know the price of this helicopter in sterlings? IDK. Bro, you're not funny, it's an old joke.
Apple. What?
I honestly can't believe I'm covering this topic because it's so ridiculous, but here we are. This is a very unusual Hey Apple slideshow that I got tagged in, starting off by showing an artist's depiction of a Pravatosaurus saying, "Hey baby trike," a baby Triceratops saying, "What?" and finally, the Pravatosaurus sitting at the back of this cave, looking very creepily at the baby Triceratops. Before some context, many people believe that the Pravatosaurus is the first perverted animal on the planet that had a predatory nature and would go after young dinosaurs. And no, I'm not saying predatory in the sense of eating the babies, I'm saying predatory in the sense of it getting pleasure from taking them. Now for some reason, a lot of people seem to think that this dinosaur actually existed, but if you look down here, this is the news organization that created it, The Onion. For those that don't know, The Onion is a satirical news network, meaning they report fake things and make them up.
Do not get close to the dreaded hide behind.
So I will tell you guys, I personally believe that this video is fake. However, this is a real cryptid that many people do think exists. The clip that you guys just watched starts off with a normal shot of the creepy looking woods here, but then you'll notice in the corner, there appears to be a figure looking out from behind one of these trees. The person recording walks closer, it becomes much more apparent, then it darts behind the tree, and the guy recording runs away. Again, I do think this clip is fake, however, I think it's based off of this real cryptid from American folklore known as the Hide Behind. This is a legend that started quite a while ago, and basically this creature hides behind trees, has very long claws, and it will go after unsuspecting people, disembowel them, and consume them. Back in the early logging days when people would go missing in the woods, a lot of people would actually blame the hide-behinds, so this is really where the roots set in.
For the night we pop out at 1 in the morning. You really want to know this kind of life never boring. She bought Dior with a
Telling you guys right now, if you ever go outside and see your car tires looking like this, Do not drive unless you're going straight to a shop to buy new tires. This is a wild TikTok slideshow that I got tagged in, showing these comparisons between tire treads. This one is very worn out, as you can see. And then the second image here shows this guy's tires that are so bald, it literally looks like a mirror. And this is very dangerous. First and foremost, 99% of the time, when tires are bald, it's a sign that those tires have ran their lifespan. They are done for. That's because bald tires come with an increased risk of tire blowout, which can happen while you're driving, causing an accident, and also an increased risk of hydroplaning, losing control on water, and sliding until you probably get into a crash as well. I do know some people though who occasionally drift and they purposefully put on bald tires because you lose traction, but still, don't ride in these guys.
This tourist secretly videoed downtown North Korea.
Boy, is this alcohol?
So given the alleged context behind this footage, a lot of you guys might think the cameraman here has a death wish, but I don't think things are quite as they seem. This is a very viral video that I got tagged in on TikTok. It shows this tourist in North Korea inside of a car recording, and it has the caption that this tourist secretly recorded here. But I think it might surprise quite a few of you guys that tourism is actually allowed in North Korea, and people do frequently visit. And on top of this, photography and videos are allowed here, but here's the catch. You have to be with a guide at all times, and only what the guide tells you you can take photos or video of is what you can take photos or video of. That being said, if you want to visit North Korea but you're from the US, you will not be able to visit anymore because of the Otto Warmbier case. Basically, this guy got jailed in North Korea, he got very sick, and then they let him out and he passed away not too long after.
Hey, Apple! What?
I've said it time and time again, guys, trains are not the place to mess around, and Instagram likes are not worth risking your life. This is another Hey Apple slideshow that starts off by showing an image of a train in Sri Lanka, then an image of a 53-year-old woman by the name of Olga Permanova. Finally, Olga Permanova's last image of her hanging off this train taking a photo. So this is an incident that happened exceptionally recently in Sri Lanka involving this train right here, the Poti Manike. Sorry if I mispronounced that. And Olga, while on this train line, decided to do this classic pose where you hang out of the back of the train and have someone take a candid photo of you. But like many people who have made this mistake before, Olga did not end up getting a happy ending here. Instead, directly after this photo was taken, she collided with a rock and ended up falling and hitting her head, which caused extensive brain damage, and she didn't survive. If your dog acts like this and you really care about its well-being as well as the people around you, you should definitely train it to not do so. This video that I got tagged in shows a perfect example of something known as barrier aggression. This guy is walking up to this dog. We can see it frantically chewing at this gate. And obviously this dog looks very aggressive and not very welcoming. Now, even if you're not familiar with the term barrier aggression, it's something that all of us have seen at one point or another with dogs, where they get really mad that there's a fence between themselves and some sort of stimulus they want to check out. And a lot of the time, people find barrier aggression funny because dogs look angry at first, the gate opens, and they're no longer angry, and once it closes again, back to the aggression. But if this is not properly dealt with, eventually when a dog gets out of a barrier, it will actually attack whatever's on the other side because it's so frustrated. There's no telling how far along this dog is in its barrier aggression, but I would still recommend
money, 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 money.
We humans are really one of the most terrifying species. The things that we think of to dispatch of our fellow creatures on this planet, they're terrifying. This is a TikTok video that I got tagged in that shows these crabs undergoing their processing. They travel down this conveyor belt, and at the bottom is this spinning component, and every time a crab comes down, it basically tears them in half. And from an outside perspective, like being a human, this might not seem like a big deal. I love how crab tastes, but if you were a crab, this thing is nightmare fuel. This machine is quite literally referred to as the crab butcher. You can see that these crabs are cinched down, and I believe that the crabs, when they're put on here, have either just died or they're about to die. But this is one of the many ways that these crabs are harvested and end up in stores and eventually our belly. Also, these machines are very efficient and can process about 45 crabs per minute, which is pretty scary.
This happened coming through a fucking tunnel.
And this is exactly how a simple tunnel can turn into an inescapable death trap. This is a TikTok video that I got tagged in that was recently recorded in Wyoming. It shows this guy inside of a tunnel crash, kicking out the windshield, and we hear screams echoing in the tunnel and flames coming closer and closer to the guy recording. Now, this is an incident that recently happened in Green River, Wyoming, inside of the I-80 tunnel right here, where a crash happened, and following that was an explosion. According to someone who was in the tunnel and made it out, there was a pileup ahead, a bunch of people slammed on their brakes, and then there was a crash on the back end of the pileup. The resulting fire and smoke inside of the confined tunnel made visibility very difficult, and 3 people did end up losing their lives in this tunnel. The rest of the people fortunately made it out and survived. As of now, authorities are trying to dig deeper and piece together the puzzle here as to exactly what happened.
This lint is a ticking time bomb.
If you're gonna let something like this happen, I just have one question. Are you trying to burn your house down? You guys know the drill. This is a video that I got tagged in, and it shows something very bad that you should never let happen. Specifically, we can see this person cleaning out their dryer vent, and it is completely clogged with lint. Now, of course, dryers have lint filters that capture the majority of the lint going through. However, over an extended period of time, some of this lint will get through to the vent, and this is when it can become a problem. Now, one of the more annoying things that can happen is the amount of lint built up in here can prevent your clothes from drying properly, but honestly, that's the least of your concerns. Because lint is extremely flammable, and when a vent is completely backed up and clogged with lint, the heat can build up here and it can actually catch fire. So seriously, I would recommend staying on top of this dryer vent. If you have yet to check it and you've been living at your place for a while, definitely do so. Alright, now hold on there a second, buddy. I don't know if this is necessarily true. This is another simple Did You Know slideshow that I got tagged in, starting off by saying did you know? The nails of a sloth aren't actually nails, they're bones that painfully grew through the skin, and this slideshow got 200,000 likes. And I'm here to tell you that this is only partially correct. Where this slideshow is actually correct is the fact that the claws of a sloth are bone. They do have a thin layer of keratin on top of them, but for the most part, it's bone. Now, where this slideshow falls short is the fact that baby sloths are actually born with claws so that they can cling to their mothers. It's not like they're just born with nubs and these bones grow through their skin while they're growing up. In other news though, the claws of a sloth are extremely durable. If they do break, they can grow back, but they're also very dangerous. Sloths are essentially like mini Wolverines, so don't get close to them or make them mad.
He found this next to his bed.
You're gonna need a biohazard suit to get this out of your room, man. This is straight up nasty. The clip that you guys just watched was recorded quite a while ago back in 2021, has the caption, "Well, now I know why my room stinks," and shows this disgusting green thing laying on the floor. A lot of people in the comments were very confused as to what this was, but as soon as I saw this, I knew exactly what it was, because I have had this happen before. So we don't have any confirmation here, but I would be willing to wager it all on the fact that this is probably a rotting cucumber. And specifically, we can see plastic wrap right here on the edge of this cucumber, which makes me think even more specifically, this is probably an English cucumber that's rotting because they always wrap them up for storage. And I know there are a lot of things that smell worse than rotting cucumbers, but they do have a very distinct and musty smell, not very pleasant at all because of the bacteria.
Я знаю твой телефон, но никогда не...
Come on, man, you are needlessly scaring people with this. This is not true. It's your favorite Google user, IdkSterling. This is another slideshow that I got tagged in, starting off by saying, moment of realization, if you dream that you were falling and you shake yourself awake, it means that you were about to die and your mind invented this dream to wake you up. And I know that we're all familiar with this feeling, that pit in your stomach like you are falling, but this is not because your body is trying to keep you alive. This is actually something known as a hypnic jerk. Basically, it's that feeling when you're about to fall asleep and then all of a sudden you have a random muscle jolt and you wake up. This can be caused by a variety of different things like caffeine, medication, or noise, stress, and anxiety, but it definitely is not caused by the fact that your body's about to shut down. In fact, the exact opposite is true when you're about to pass away. Your body functions slow down and you actually do fall asleep.
It might look alive, but this fish is dead. Downtown North.
You might be wondering to yourself how this is possible considering this fish is no longer alive, and it's actually pretty simple. This TikTok video that I got tagged in shows this fish being prepared. We can see that it's very seasoned, and all of a sudden the fish starts moving. The person preparing the meal is obviously freaked out, the fish flops down to the ground, and this means one thing. This fish very recently died. So when a fish is freshly killed and filleted, obviously the brain is no longer active. However, the muscle tissue might not have broken down yet, which means that they're still intact and there's a chance that they can respond to stimulus. Specifically, when you have a fresh kill and you pour salt on it, it causes those muscle fibers to move because salt is a very important part of making a muscle move. There's also clips though of freshly killed fish moving and flopping around in the oven due to heat, so there's a variety of different reasons why this can happen.
This is why turkeys circle graves.
Boil this alcohol.
There are a couple different reasons why stuff like this happens, but I promise you guys, nothing sinister is going on here. I feel like every single year, one of these videos goes viral. This one just got 20 million views. It shows this person at a cemetery, and we can see 3 turkeys circling around this grave with the name Harris on it. And again, these videos have popped up numerous times. Here's 3 more turkeys going around a gravestone, so what's the big deal? Well, circling behavior in turkeys is normal. According to one person who raises turkeys on their farm, these are more than likely young toms and they're chasing each other and trying to assert dominance. Basically, last one standing without getting nipped is going to be the winner. However, turkeys will oftentimes circle things as a flock. Usually this is to maintain safety in numbers, and it helps them keep an eye and determine whether or not something's actually a threat.
If your legs look like this, visit the doctor.
I want to preface this by saying if you are truly concerned by this, I would recommend going to a doctor. I'm just regurgitating information I found online. This is a TikTok video that I got tagged in that went extremely viral, and it shows what happens to this person's legs after they take a shower. You'll notice that the skin is extremely blotchy and there appears to be blood pooling in different areas. Now, best case scenario, this could be toasted skin syndrome, basically exposing yourself to heat for too long, and it causes damage. You solve this by not exposing yourself to heat. More concerning things though could potentially be things like dysautonomia or POTS, and in this photo right here, you can see the appearance actually does look somewhat similar to the original video. POTS fortunately is not life-threatening, though it sucks a lot and it impacts your cardiovascular system. Dysautonomia can be a little bit more life-threatening, but fortunately most people do live a long and active life.
I'm sorry, but doing this is stupid.
This might come across as pretty harsh, guys, but I'm gonna say it. If you do something like this, you are stupid and you deserve to get caught. This is a TikTok video that I got tagged in. It shows this person flying in a plane, and as you guys can see, there's a small green dot down here on the ground. And as the video progresses, it becomes clear that this green dot is actually a laser, and this is highly illegal and very dumb to do. So first off, this is what a laser looks like from the cockpit, and as you can see, it is very bright and therefore very blinding. This can really impact a pilot's coordination, and in the worst case scenario, cause them to crash, killing everyone on board and whoever the plane lands on as well. And here's another clip showing protesters using lasers and how dangerous it is. If you have epilepsy, do not watch this. And you might be wondering what happens if you get caught doing this. Potentially 5 years in federal prison and $250,000 in fines.
Я знаю твой телефон, но никогда не...
Look, I know that this thing looks pretty creepy, but despite its name and how it looks, it actually does have a positive message. This TikTok slideshow that I got tagged in first starts off by showing this massive angel, but you'll notice that it looks pretty creepy. And upon zooming in, the face looks like it's in agony, and you'll notice that it's made out of knives. This 27-foot statue is actually referred to as the Knife Angel, and approximately 100,000 knives make up its entire build. A lot of these knives were donated by people willingly, but some of these knives actually had bodily fluids on them, and they were from the police who had them as evidence. The entire purpose of this statue, though, is to speak out against violent crimes, especially ones with knives. The exact same people who made the Knife Angel also have recently completed the Knife B, which also has firearms as its feet and other portions of its anatomy.
People pay a lot of money for this.
Money.
For a lot of you guys, myself included, this is probably relatively uncomfortable to watch, but people pay good money for this. This is a TikTok video that a bunch of you guys tagged me in. It shows this woman undergoing a procedure to remove her double chin. And as you guys can see, this does not look like a very comfortable procedure. It actually seems pretty aggressive. Well, the procedure that she's undergoing here is known as chin liposuction. Again, it's meant to remove your double chin, or at the very least, make your jawline more pronounced. It costs about $6,000 to get this done on the high end, and when you look at the before and afters here, it becomes pretty clear why people are willing to pay so much. And doing this procedure is quite straightforward. You make incisions on the area where the excess fat is stored, and then you insert this suction rod known as a cannula and gyrate it back and forth, picking up any of the excess fat. From there, you close the incisions, usually takes about a week to recover, and you hope that the patient's face takes it well.
This is not funny, it's actually tragic.
There's really not a whole lot of context behind this video, but from what I can tell, this is a very controversial topic. So this video was sent to me through Instagram DM. It shows this crocodile hanging off of a tree, and it falls into the water. It then falls into the water and starts struggling, and you'll notice right here that there is a line tied to the tree. And I believe what we're seeing here is a tactic of crocodile and alligator hunting, where they will hang a baited hook above the water, and the crocodile or alligator will jump up and grab it, and then they're captured. And a lot of people really consider these traps as inhumane because the hooks do a lot of damage before the crocodile or alligator ever bites the dust. Somebody's got to come along and check the traps and dispatch of the animal, so that entire time it's struggling. On top of this, a lot of people jerry-rig and set up these traps illegally, which of course is even worse for the crocodile or alligator because it's suffering even more.
Nobody knows what is happening here.
Over the course of the last few years, I've seen this video multiple times and I have never been able to figure it out, but now I have a theory. So this video is very confusing to look at. It shows this guy using a tool to bust up concrete, but there's one problem. The concrete wall that this guy is working on looks like it's about 20 feet away from where he's standing, yet he's still working on it. So my personal theory here, work sites obviously are not going to have the most level ground, usually it's pretty uneven. So in my opinion, I think that this right here is an embankment, not a flat piece of ground, and this concrete is sitting on top of the embankment. I drew this diagram right here to illustrate. Yes, I know, I'm the next Picasso, you don't have to tell me, and this is what I think it looks like. Just a small little hill with a piece of concrete on it. This is something that is commonly seen with these embankments as well for fortification, so that's my opinion. Let me know what you guys think. This guy's life was as tragic as it was short, and his fate was absolutely horrible. So this is a simple 2-image slideshow, the first image showing a large group of circus performers, and the second image showing a very famous circus performer by the name of Joseph Merrick, also known as the Elephant Man. Joseph Merrick was born back in 1862, and from a young age, his deformity and large head made life very difficult, so he decided to join the circus. Back then, the circus was not very politically correct, and they were all about getting the ugliest and the most hideous people out there. Eventually, Joseph became tired of people gawking at him, and he decided to move to the London hospital, where he would spend the rest of his days being an artist. Sadly, Joseph's time as an artist wasn't too long, because on one fateful night, his heavy skull ended up dislocating his neck, and he passed away from asphyxiation, lack of oxygen.
Why don't you get it? Can't you get it? Understand?
Yup, you guys absolutely read that right, and this is very concerning, so I'm going to provide you guys some context. So as you guys can see, this video that I got tagged in mentions a human egg farm that was recently found in Georgia. And recently, a few different Thai women have been rescued from that alleged human egg farm. Basically, the woman alleged that there was a fake job listing to be a surrogate mother, meaning you carry somebody else's kid, in Georgia, and it paid pretty well, so a lot of these Thai women wanted to go there and make money. But when they showed up, they were instead held in this house right here and coerced into having their eggs removed, which is terrifying because women only have a finite amount of eggs. They also alleged that the group running this operation would not let them leave unless they paid a ransom for their freedom, which a lot of these women could not afford. The group running this place claimed that this is not the case and everyone there chose to be there, but now it's bringing up human trafficking allegations. This is easily one of the most depraved serial killers. This guy was straight up a monster. This is another Did You Know slideshow, starting off by saying, did you know that there was a serial killer by the name of Albert Fish who wrote letters to his victims' parents, letting them know how good their children tasted. And this right here is the face of the monster himself, Albert Fish, who was active in the early 1900s. Albert himself claimed to have had at least 100 plus victims, but he was only caught for 3 of the victims. He was a very sick individual. He would oftentimes push needles into his pelvis because this gave him a lot of pleasure. He did also write a letter to his last victim's parents, Grace Budd, and in it he stated that he roasted and consumed Grace. This letter, though, did allow the authorities to eventually end up finding him, and Albert was found guilty. He was to be removed from the gene pool through use of an electric chair. Guys, I have something to admit. I am not an expert ice fisherman, but you know what? There's only two things I think this could possibly be. For some context, this video is pretty simple to understand. We can see this person who has cut out a hole in the ice, and we see a bunch of bubbles here. And this was this person's first time ice fishing, so they were wondering if this is normal. And in my eyes, this could be one of two things. First off, bubbles are relatively common in lakes, especially lakes that have underwater vegetation, because when they're decomposing, they release a bunch of gas, and when there's ice on the surface, that gas becomes trapped, and therefore when you cut a hole in it, bubbles are going to come out. The only other option here that I could see causing this is maybe a portion of the lake is not frozen and waves are going underneath the ice and pushing out, but this is less likely in my opinion. So realistically, this is just a bunch of built up methane gas and you're releasing it by cutting a hole in the ice.
This is actually super disrespectful.
Money.
This has got to be the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen a spider do. This is nuts. This video has recently been going viral on social media. It shows a large spider on the mirror of this person's car. And while this is already disturbing for most people, the spider then raises up its abdomen and sprays some sort of white liquid onto this person's window. So there are actually spiders that do have the ability to spit. This is what a lot of people thought was happening here. However, these spiders are typically very small. The spider that we're looking at in this video is more than likely a huntsman spider, which is a very large one. And I know a lot of people probably don't think about this, but spiders are just like any other animal. They have to go to the bathroom. And usually spider feces is going to be white, gray, or black, and liquid. And seeing as huntsman spiders don't make webs either, I think it's safe to say this spider probably just took a fat dump on your window.
This is not funny, it's actually tragic.
Not too sure why people are obsessed with memeing videos like this, but the backstory behind this video, very sad. This is an old video, but was recently posted to TikTok, where it went extremely viral. It shows this guy who's sitting next to a wall, a white tiger right here, and the guy is basically moving his hands up and down, cowering, and it looks like begging the white tiger to leave him alone. So for context, this happened back in 2014, so 11 years ago in New Delhi, and this guy Maksud was at a zoo when he accidentally fell 18 feet down into this dry moat. The white tiger here, VJ, was obviously very curious, and for about 10 minutes he stared at Maksud, and once visitors started throwing rocks at VJ, VJ picked up this man and drug him deeper into the exhibit. Authorities weren't able to retrieve Maksud's remains for approximately 2 hours, and VJ actually did end up surviving through this and just recently passed away due to age-related issues. Another perfect example as to how people toss around Skinwalker casually. No, that's not what we're looking at here. So this TikTok slideshow first starts off with an image of a creepy dog with the statement Skinwalker, and then we get this viral image of a dog that has creeped out a ton of people to the point where they think it's a Skinwalker. Here's the full image of that dog, and no, it's not a Skinwalker. This is a breed known as a Borzoi. For a lot of people, Borzois are very uncanny to look at, but their body shape does actually have a purpose, and that's for wolf hunting. They have very long limbs, they're fast, sleek, and agile, and this allows them to perform very well when they're in the field, especially working with people. I will say though, if a Skinwalker did decide to turn into a Borzoi, you would have no chance of running away, so you might as well just give up. Borzois can run 35 to 40 miles per hour, so either way, you're cooked.
This video does not have a happy ending.
Despite the fact that this video was filmed in a church, it is anything but a happy video. Very tragic story. This is a video that I was recently tagged in on TikTok, and it shows this group of people in a relatively normal congregation. Nothing appears to be happening. However, if you guys look up here, we can see two people interacting with one another, and this is where the entire scene goes down. The man on the right side here wearing this overcoat was a deranged individual who had the habit of consuming illicit substances by the name of Keith Kenunan. Keith would oftentimes go to the West Freeway Church of Christ and get food and also ask for cash. However, he would get very mad when the church would deny this request. So in 2019, Keith entered while the church was full and ended up taking the lives of 2 people while wearing a fake disguise, and one heroic churchgoer ended up facing Keith and taking his life before even more damage was done.
Hey, Apple!
What?
Yeah, I'm not too sure if I can get away with showing this, which is why I have it blurred, but man, I can feel this just by looking at the photo. This is another painful Hey Apple slideshow that I got tagged in, starting off by showing an image of a fence, then an image of a deer, and finally, this wonderful image showing the male portion of a deer stuck on barbed wire, if you guys catch my drift. Now, we've talked about this before, guys, but deer and fences really do not go well together, kind of like orange juice and brushing your teeth with mint toothpaste. Now, deer by themselves are very impressive jumpers. They have the ability to jump 7 to 8 foot fences, which is why they oftentimes try to do so. And while they succeed quite a bit, these types of fences with the iron spikes on top, or barbed wire / razor wire fences will catch deer and sometimes remove their body parts, or entrap them entirely, and coyotes will come along and consume them while they're alive. Bro, what the hell is this? This is not something that I wanted to see. This has got to be one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen anybody do on this app. I didn't think anyone would ever go to this length. This video was uploaded by Sterling_IDK2. Nobody, I am not going to read your other nickname. And bro really committed to the meme here, but I've got a couple questions, man. I'm a little bit concerned. First off, why is the mouth white? This better be lotion or paint. Second, where in the world did you even get this body pillow? There is literally a front and back to this. You spent so much time making this body pillow here. Why would you even do this? The comments, they're not any better. People are saying that they want to buy one of these, and a bunch of other people are agreeing, saying, yes, we can, yes, we should. Why do you guys want a body pillow of me, dude? If anything, this makes me feel very weird that somebody is potentially cuddling a body pillow of me at night, and it makes me a little bit concerned to see how much further this can go, because there's really not much else.
Her parents should have been more careful.
Generally speaking, sea lions are very safe to be around, but really, this was very avoidable. This is a video that I'm fairly sure we've talked about before, but a bunch of you guys have tagged me in it, so we're going to cover it again. This clip shows a young girl here on this dock and this sea lion, and then the sea lion pops up, grabs her by the dress, and pulls her into the water. Now, first off and right away, this sea lion made it clear that it was very interested in seeing who this person was, and they still let their daughter sit on the edge of this while it was waiting there, so very bad idea. One saving grace here is the fact that this was just a sea lion. They obviously do not eat people, they only consume fish for the most part. Sea lions also very rarely attack. The only time they're really ever seen doing so is when they're sick, because it makes them act more erratically. Their bite is relatively strong though, so fortunately it only got her by the dress.
Oh, it's shaking. Oh, Lord, it's not. Oh!
After experiencing something like this, I personally would never eat at one of these restaurants ever again. The clip that you guys just watched doesn't have a whole lot of context. We can see this woman strapped into a seat saying, "Oh Lord, it's shaking." Then she starts screaming, and we get another camera POV, and we can see this bartender freaking out as well. Now, if you guys have ever heard about this unique restaurant dining experience known as fly dining, this is where it took place, basically dining 100 feet up, hanging in the sky. And when this happened, a line did end up snapping. However, despite the fact that everyone here was freaked out, they weren't actually really in danger. And that's because the line that snapped was actually one of these wind support lines, so basically this got blown into the crane itself, really no risk of it actually plummeting out of the sky though. Either way, if you were afraid of heights, you weren't going to be going on this anyways, but now, even if you weren't afraid of heights, you still might not. Straight up, guys, this right here is not normal. If you see this, probably go to the doctor and get your blood checked. So this is a pretty interesting slideshow, doesn't have a whole lot of context, but first we see a normal palm of this person's hand, and the second image shows this hand with a bunch of yellow fatty deposits below this guy's skin, and this is the result of eating a carnivore diet. So as you guys know, there are obviously vegans, only plant-based products, and on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have carnivores, only animal-based products. And the guy whose hand this belongs to ended up developing this after the course of 8 months, in which I believe he would eat 8 to 9 pounds of cheese per day, a stick of butter, and hamburgers. In general, the carnivore diet is typically very high in fats, which is not necessarily the best for your heart health, and this person's cholesterol was 3 times the normal average with actual fatty deposits in your hand, which is not good. For about 2 years, this photo and slideshow has been floating around on different accounts. I wanted to cover it, and finally, I'm going to do that. So very simple here, we get a photo of the Earth, and finally the caption, end of the map, and we can see this really weird dystopian area. Looks very odd. Now, end of the Earth, I'm assuming is referring to flat Earth potentially, but no. Obviously the Earth is not flat, and this right here is definitely not the end of the map. That would either be defined by the most northern city or the most southern city. For example, the northernmost city is Longyearbyen, and it's only about 650 miles or 1,050 kilometers from the North Pole. This is what it looks like, by the way, in the sunny season. And the southernmost city, or southernmost end of the map on the Earth, is a town by the name of Ushuaia, part of Argentina. And Ushuaia is possibly where this photo was taken, because if you look really closely here, you can see a joyeria, which means jewelry, and there are a few joyerias here.
This is not the smartest thing to do.
Money.
I cannot be the only one whose eyes immediately started watering after watching this. This TikTok video that I got tagged in shows something that kind of developed into a trend. This person taking an eyeliner, sticking it into their eye, sliding it through, and then revealing their eye, which is completely blacked out and kind of looks like something from a movie. So obviously it goes without saying, purposefully putting eyeliner in your eye, probably not the best idea. This can cause irritation and redness, and in rare cases, an infection. However, this isn't something you should be too worried about if you do accidentally. A lot of people do this. Basically, if you just touch the tiniest bit of eyeliner into your eye, it will spread out very quickly. There is one weird side effect though that's basically guaranteed that you can expect from doing this, and that's black boogers, because your tear ducts are connected from your eye to your nose, and yeah, you're gonna pick your nose and it's going to be black.
If this is the skin, imagine the snake.
Just letting you guys know right now, I'm not 100% sure what this is, but I highly doubt that it's a snake skin. So this is a video that's gone viral many times on TikTok. Recently it's been reposted, a bunch of you have tagged me in it, and it shows this fisherman picking up something that kind of looks like a molted snake skin. The only thing is, this snake skin looks extremely long, and I would venture a guess to say that it's over 100 feet. And this led to a lot of speculation. Maybe the largest snake in existence ever, the Titanoboa, is not actually extinct, and it's been under our noses this whole time. Well, I hate to disappoint you guys, but even the Titanoboa, the largest snake ever, did not grow above 100 feet. In fact, it was only around 42 to 47 feet at the most. On top of this, the consistency and thickness here is just not right for molted snakeskin. Usually it's going to be very thin, almost see-through.
This is proof that mountains are not real.
So this might come as a surprise to many of you guys, but yes, it is possible for some mountains to be fake. This is an old TikTok that just recently got reposted. A bunch of you tagged me in it, and in it we can see the caption, "Mountains are not real," and we see this realistic looking mountain with a split down the middle. The cameraman then walks in, and we can see a bunch of support beams, so clearly it's not a real mountain. Well, believe it or not, artificial mountains do exist. And this is no secret. More often than not, it's the result of industrialization and the excessive dumping of waste products that eventually pile up into a mountain. And in the future, we might even see these mountains built intentionally as a wildlife refuge, for example, like the one proposed in Germany. I'm not exactly sure the purpose of this fake structure, but honestly, it's probably a factory of some kind meant to be obscured from the public, or a movie set, for example. This photo had a lot of people freaked out, stating that if you were to see this, you should run, but honestly, I don't think that this is a very big deal. This is another TikTok slideshow that I got tagged in, starting off by saying an abandoned house and showing an image of one, and then an image of this chair with a bunch of wires tied around it, and not much context. For some backstory though, this photo was first posted to Reddit several years ago, and this guy was exploring an abandoned building in Croatia and claimed that this was a makeshift electric chair. Now obviously, finding a makeshift electric chair would be very concerning. It would have some pretty serious implications as to what's going on behind the scenes in this abandoned house. And a lot of people took this electric chair theory at face value, but if you really look closely at this, it looks a lot more like a swing. This would not function as an electric chair. There's no restraints, only 2 legs, so if you sat on this, it wouldn't work. A swing is the only thing it could be. This is another TikTok slideshow that's not 100% correct, but hey, at least they're on the right path. So this slideshow that I got tagged in starts off by showing an artist's depiction of Cleopatra with the statement, "No man will ever find my tomb." Then it shows an image that at first I thought was AI generated with the caption, "More than 2,000 years later, Cleopatra's tomb was found by a woman." So here's the deal, this is actually a real photo. This right here is Kathleen Martinez, and she is the one who's leading the search for Cleopatra's tomb. However, she has not found it yet. Relatively recently though, Kathleen and her team did end up discovering a 4,000 plus foot long tunnel underground that many believed would lead to Cleopatra's tomb. They also found many different artifacts, and while a lot of people don't think that Kathleen's super close yet, Kathleen is still very confident, and honestly I think we can all agree this is really, really cool.
This is actually 100% real.
This guy has been popular for a very long time, and every single time he pops up on the internet, people seem to think that this is photoshopped or edited. But I'm telling you guys, believe it or not, this guy right here, Carlos Rodriguez, is 100% real. He looks somewhat normal from the front, and then when he turns his head to the side, you can see a very large chunk of his skull and brain is missing. So back when Carlos was 14, he was very into alcohol and other illicit substances, so he made the bad choice of attempting to steal a car. However, because of the cognitive state that he was in, he ended up colliding with a pole, flying out the front windshield, and landing on his head. Doctors had to work quickly to save his life, removing a pretty large portion of his brain and skull, leaving him with this permanent indent. Most shocking part about this though is that Carlos retains most of his brain function, specifically because this happened when he was young and his brain was able to acclimate to the missing portion.
He thought he wouldn't get caught.
Not too sure why people think they can get away with this, but it's pretty obvious this guy was going to get caught. This video doesn't have a whole lot of context, but it shows what looks to be this guy getting his hair cut off. But then we can quickly tell that this is actually a wig, and he has a bunch of illicit substances hiding underneath. Now, this incident recently happened at the Cartagena airport in Colombia, and this guy was planning to fly to Amsterdam, but he was apprehended partway through. Security measures in the airport were easily able to spot that this guy was hiding something under his wig, and it turned out to be about $10,000 worth of the white stuff, the white illicit substance. I find this interesting because, believe it or not, this is not the first time somebody's made this mistake. In Barcelona, for example, this guy was caught with around $30,000 worth of the substance with this horrible fake wig. I mean, there's no way these guys think they're going to get through security with that. What happens though is a lot of these guys get tricked into being a mule, and it goes wrong.
Hey, Apple! What?
This does look pretty gnarly, guys, I would have to agree, but honestly, there is no reason to be concerned here. This is another Hey Apple slideshow that I got tagged in, starting off by showing an image of an elephant saying "Hey camera," an image of a camera saying "What?" and finally this image that's been floating around TikTok for the past couple of years, showing a painful looking hole on this elephant's trunk. Now you might be tempted to think that this elephant had an unfortunate run-in with a poacher or some other wild animal, but as a matter of fact, this is more than likely a birth defect. The elephant is known as Ranzakile, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that, and this is something that she has lived with for her entire life. Through this hole is where she breathes, and despite the way that this whole entire defect looks, it actually really hasn't had any impact on her life. She's even been able to raise some young of her own, so that's very fortunate and positive.
And we've hit rock, but listen to this. Realistically, digging down onto this sound is something I personally would never do, but hey, you do you.
In any event, this is a little series that's been going viral on TikTok. This guy's been hearing some weird noises below the ground on his property. And in this clip, he's dug around 6 feet down. And as you guys can hear, there are some very strange sniffing noises coming from the ground. Now, this guy seems to think that the government is hiding something from us and that they're doing something nefarious below the ground. But in my eyes, there's only two things this could really be. Number one, I saw a lot of people stating that this might be a gas line leak. Honestly, I don't think that's the case. I think realistically, it's more than likely a TBM or a tunnel boring machine, probably digging something like a water line. And the reason I'm leaning more towards a TBM than a gas leak is because it is vibrating above ground, which is not really something you'd get with a gas leak.
See the ground moving or vibrating.
So what do you guys think? Tell you right now, hell yeah, I would do that for $1 million. Easiest money I'll ever make. This is a video that recently went viral on TikTok, and to say that it's uncomfortable is kind of an understatement. We can see this guy with his mouth open, clearly looks in pain, and all the while this chiropractor is pumping something up, and it comes out through his mouth. And believe it or not, this is actually a relatively common treatment for clogged sinuses and deviated septums known as cranial facial release. Boiling this down into the simplest way possible, basically you just put a small balloon into the sinus and you inflate it, and this creates a lot of pressure and creates space. The balloon will then usually pop out through the person's mouth, and at this point, this is going to be very uncomfortable. The patient can't breathe, but then it's quickly popped and they basically just pull it back out of the nose. Hypothetically, patients should then have their sinuses drained, but honestly, it's not 100% clear as to whether or not this is very effective.
Go, yalla. There's no way this guy's doing it. Oh no.
I'm gonna be straight up with you, bro. How stupid do you have to be to do something like this? It is genuinely infuriating and shocking. So if you guys have been watching my videos for a while, you'll notice that there's a pretty ridiculous trend going around online. People have seemingly forgot what gravity is, and they have been throwing random items like water balloons or water bags on people. And already, this is dangerous. But this video, posted by this guy, CS279, takes the cake. This guy picked up one of these footrests that are commonly seen sitting at the mall and tossed it off of what looks to be a 30-foot ledge. By itself, this thing probably weighs about 25 pounds, and when it's falling 30 to 40 feet on top of somebody's head, it easily has enough force to actually end them. After doing this, you might think this guy probably had a change of heart and he felt bad about it, but this was his response to somebody criticizing him.
Behavior like that is genuinely... Wow, people taking this video so serious. It's not that deep. Say, bro.
Absolutely ridiculous, bro. You need to change. Despite the fact that there's a skull here and this whole edit tries to make this look really creepy and edgy, no, this is actually really cool and not dangerous at all. So this edit shows these people watching a lightning storm out in the distance. Everything seems relatively normal. Partway through this video, a large red flash takes place, much higher than the actual lightning, and this is known as a red sprite. Now, red sprites were first photographed back in 1989, so in the grand scheme of things, not that long ago. And since then, we've recorded a bunch of incidents of this. And in order for this to happen, conditions need to be just right. There needs to be a large thunderstorm, and after a lightning strike, a very large different in charge. This will then result in these very large red sprites that are roughly the size of cities, well above the clouds where the actual lightning storm is taking place at an altitude of roughly 50 miles. Oftentimes, they are very intricate looking, and you can also see it from space. $1 million is a lot of money, guys, and I know I wouldn't enjoy this, but yes, I would do it. This is a TikTok video that I got tagged in that shows this popular creator trying something known as the surströmming challenge. This guy takes a bite of this food, is clearly revolted, immediately gags and spits it out. And a lot of you guys might think that he's overreacting, but no, I can tell you that he is not. As previously mentioned, what he's consuming is something known as surströmming, and it's a very popular Swedish delicacy. It's basically just fermented fish. Specifically, it's fermented herring, and a lot of people describe it as having a similar smell to rotting eggs. And obviously, if you guys have smelled rotting fish before, it is horrible. In fact, surströmming smells so bad that it's illegal to open it in public places where other people could smell it, like airplanes or buses. Despite this though, it is quite popular in northern Sweden, and most of the time it's mixed with other foods.
This is completely not okay.
Well, as you guys can see here, this is definitely a very uncomfortable clip, and honestly I'm surprised we are just now seeing it. This video was sent to me through Instagram DM, and in it we can see a news reporter merely just trying to do her job, and these individuals coming up and giving her pecks on the cheek. And this happens numerous times over the course of this broadcast, with a bunch of different people involved every single time. Now this clip was recorded almost 20 years ago in 2006 at the FIFA World Cup final located in Germany. And the reporter here was from NDTV, or New Delhi TV, so an Indian broadcasting group. Now, for the most part, people were very upset in seeing this video, especially the fact that it's just now surfacing again, but I saw a lot of people saying that based off of the reaction the reporter was giving, it seemed like this was okay, but I'm gonna have to disagree with you. This kind of thing happens all the time to news reporters, specifically females, so it's just something that they shouldn't have to deal with. Stop! Just kidding. You thought I was gonna yell, didn't you? No. You know what? This video might have some elements of other op videos, but I still think this is an ally video. This was uploaded by Art Society, a brand new ally, and here they have it in the caption, so you're a goat. Now, as has been the theme for the past week, we start off with the creamy, milky filling for the chocolate bunny. I'm not going to talk about that, you guys know the video. But then the real artistic talent starts showcasing itself here with this photo. It starts off pretty good. And then this one, which definitely makes me look a little bit silly, but honestly, I can respect the art because it looks realistic. And this photo of me right here, man, there's really no photos of me online without my shirt, so I'm surprised you knew exactly what I look like underneath my shirt. It's impressive. Only problem is I'm pretty sure people are going to goon to this, and this kind of reminds me of the R34, so, you know, I'll still take it though as a compliment. So that being said, Art Society, you are officially part of the allies. Our group is growing larger and larger every day. The ops are kind of screwed now. Obviously, guys, there are some tricks going on here with angling and lighting and stuff like that, but this is still pretty crazy. So this is a pretty simple slideshow. The first photo shows a crab that looks pretty thick, but otherwise not too large. But the second image really puts that crab's size into perspective when we can see its claw compared to a human's arm. Now, as many of you guys know, the largest crab in the world is currently the Japanese spider crab. These guys can have a length between their claws measuring up to 12 feet, which is insane. But while these guys are very spindly and long, their claws are really nothing compared to this crab's claw, the Tasmanian giant crab. The Tasmanian giant crab is obviously very dense, still quite large, weighing up to around 39 pounds, which is only 3 pounds less on average than the Japanese spider crab. And obviously, in handling these guys, you would want to be careful because it would hurt really badly if you got pinched by one. At first glance, this slideshow doesn't seem like a very big deal, but it's tied to one of the worst radiation deaths in history. The first image here shows a bunch of chromosomes that are damaged and broken apart, belonging to a man by the name of Hisashi. And the second image shows perfectly intact chromosomes, exactly what they should look like. Now, we've talked about Hisashi before, but if you aren't familiar, he used to work with radiation, and one day he was exposed to 17 sieverts of radiation, well above the lethal limit. Over the course of a few days, his appearance changed drastically, and he progressively fell apart more and more, passing away over 80 days later. Very horrible. But the reason why radiation tends to have these awful deaths where people slowly fall apart is the fact that their chromosomes get damaged. Chromosomes are basically the blueprints to your body. They tell your body what to do and how to function. So when radiation breaks them apart, your body no longer knows how to function, and you slowly fall apart.
If you see these, find where they came from.
Money.
Overall, finding this isn't necessarily the biggest deal. It's more gross than bad, but if it's by your drinking water, then you should be concerned. This is a video that was sent to me through Instagram DM. I'm not too sure where this person is, but it looks like a basement, and in it, we can say they've discovered this gross red-looking blob. And the cameraman gets closer, and it kind of looks like Carnage, the symbiote. But these are actually completely normal. They're called tubifex worms. Generally speaking, and directly, tubifex worms are not actually harmful. However, they're a sign that water quality where they're at is poor. They're found in water sources with low oxygen content, decaying organic matter, generally dirty water, and sometimes even in sewage. So if you find tubifex worms in your basement or some other residential facility, you should probably figure out the body of water that they're living in, and hopefully it's not your drinking water.
This man must have a death wish.
Boil this alcohol.
Hey, you know what? At first glance, this looks pretty darn cool. But all it takes is one mistake, and you are cooked. This is yet another video that was sent to me through Instagram DM. It shows this guy pretending as though he's running on water, and as you guys can see, he's hanging on to the bow of this boat. But again, if you were to fall off, you would be absolutely cooked because you are directly in the path of the boat with no time to react. So the first thing that you have to worry about, obviously, is the propeller on the boat. If you get hit by that, you are going to be chopped up, potentially lose a limb or two at best. Even if you avoid the propeller though, if the hull of the boat has a bunch of barnacles on it, you are going to get scraped up, essentially keel hauling yourself. Don't look that up, by the way. And in my opinion, the biggest risk here is hitting your head on the hull of the boat, that knocking you out, and then you drowning. Risking all of these things happening to you just for some Instagram likes, not too sure if it's worth it. I remember hearing about this when I was back in high school, so honestly, I'm quite surprised this is still floating around. This is a creepy did you know slideshow that I got tagged in, starting off by saying, did you know that high schoolers today have the exact same anxiety levels as insane asylum patients back in the 1950s? Now this is a claim that's been posted over the internet countless times, but usually people are seeing it in tweets or memes on iFunny, but really how accurate is this claim? So from what I can tell, the person who first said this is Robert L. Leahy, who has a PhD and actually seems like quite a credible source. However, this article is quite out of date, seeing as it was written in 2008, and honestly, there are more important pieces of information in here than this clickbait claim. I will say though, this claim is not all that unbelievable. Anxiety levels rise decade after decade, and that has been shown with consistent research.
Hey, Apple! What?
I've had this slideshow sitting in my saved folder for quite some time, guys, but I keep getting tagged in it, so I'm going to finally cover it. This is a creepy Hey Apple slideshow that I got tagged in, starting off with a giraffe saying Hey Apple, another giraffe saying what, and finally this no context image where if you look really closely, these giraffes look very disturbing. Here's a closer look at this photo, and this right here is oftentimes referred to as the unnatural giraffe. Now, of course, this entire thing here is fake. This is actually part of an analog horror series, and the unnatural giraffe is one of many unnatural creatures. We've got the unnatural rhino, which looks creepier in my opinion, and we've got the unnatural cow, which is apparently a cannibalistic and carnivorous version of the cow. Basically, though, all of these animals live in the unnatural habitat, and they're all bloodthirsty and way scarier than the normal version of the animals we have here on Earth.
If you find this, you are rich.
These videos have been all over my Explore tag, recommended, and even tags, so yes, let's talk about it. This video shows somebody cracking open what I believe to be an oyster, pushing on the edges of it, and revealing a bunch of very large, brightly colored green and turquoise pearls. And this has been a trend for quite some time now, people posting these extremely vibrant, large pearls that are gold, silver, and pink, and these videos get millions of views on YouTube. These videos, though, are obviously quite unrealistic. This is what your average oyster is going to look like if it's laden with a lot of pearls. And this right here is more or less what the process of harvesting these pearls is like when you're not trying to keep that oyster alive. On top of this, larger pearls are usually going to be about 1.5 to 2 centimeters, so under an inch. And of course, this is the most common color. There are just simply way too many large pearls here because they found even more after this set.
Знаю твой телефон, но никогда не...
Really not too sure if I can show this image here, but I'm blurring it out just in case. So this is a TikTok slideshow that I was tagged in, posted by Mr. Poughkeepsie. It first starts off by showing this guy standing in front of an airplane engine, then this image allegedly taken in Russia back in 2004, with the background filled with something that kind of looks like meat. And finally, this image of the airplane engine up close with a bunch of red substance on the inside. Well, this story happened back in 2004 with a Russian airport worker who was standing on the tarmac next to one of these jet engines. Pilots turned the engines on while this man by the name of Igor was standing too close to them, and he got sucked in and basically blended up and spit out all over the tarmac. This is exactly why you don't stand in front of the jet engines, because it will pick you up if you are too close to it. Also, you don't want to be on the back end either because it will blow you down the runway and cause a lot of damage.
This cell death is very sad to watch.
I know that you guys might make fun of me for saying that I feel bad, but I can't help it. I'm a sucker for single-celled organisms. So this video doesn't have a whole lot of context, but the beginning starts by showing a single-celled organism moving normally. But tragedy strikes when this single-celled organism starts disintegrating, and by the end, it completely dies and is fully broken apart. So the type of organism that you guys just watched get banished to the Shadow Realm is something known as a blepharisma, and these are ciliated single-celled organisms. And basically, ciliated means that it has these long, thin strands here that allow the cell to move. Now you guys might be wondering what caused this cell to fall apart in an instant, and more than likely here, I think a researcher shined a very bright artificial light on one of these blepharisma, and this actually causes it to release a toxin that will make it disintegrate and basically kill itself.
This is crazy. I heard it. I heard it. I hear it.
I'm sorry guys, I don't want to disappoint, but my BS detector is going off big time with this video. This is a video that was reposted to TikTok. I remember seeing this one a long time ago, and in this video, we can see a guy on the ocean at nighttime. Specifically though, we can hear these loud screeches emanating from around the boat, and a lot of people seem to think that these are sirens. For those that don't know, sirens are mythical creatures that try to bring sailors to their demise by getting them to jump into the water. But the audio that we're hearing here sounds a lot more like whales. Very similar. The only problem with this theory is that whales are very loud underwater. Out of the water, it's really difficult to hear them, especially when you have a really loud boat engine going right next to your ear. So in my eyes, there's only two options. Number one, sirens are real and this guy recorded it, or number two, he overlaid whale audio sounds on top of the video and posted it.
Would you jump in there for $1 million?
I don't know what it is, Santa, but lately you've been asking me crazier and crazier questions. No, I would not jump in for $1 million. This is a video that was sent to me through Instagram DM. In it, we can see this guy traveling in a small rickety craft, and as soon as they get into this larger pool, we can see hundreds of caimans slither away from them, and really, this boat is a little too small for comfort. Now this video was recorded in Pantanal, Brazil, and as you guys can see, it's a beautiful area, but its natural beauty is not what it's well known for. It's known for being home to the largest crocodilian population in the world in the form of caimans. Caimans aren't the largest crocodilians out there, but they are still fierce predators, and while attacks on humans are not common, if they feel threatened, they will attack you. There have only been around 19 reported deaths since 2014 at the hands of caimans, or rather teeth, but regardless, I still would not jump into this because they would probably attack you. In my time as a professional scroller on the internet, I've seen a lot of very morbid inventions, but this one right here has to take the cake. There are only two images in this slideshow, both of them not very much context. The first one kind of looks like a weird helmet, and the second one looks the exact same. And if you were to assume that this is a helmet, you would be correct. It almost looks like the top of the Thinker's head from the DC universe, and you wouldn't be too far off in thinking this. But instead of these little nubs being electrodes like in the Thinker's case, these are actually shells from a pew-pew. And I'm sure at this point you guys are starting to connect the dots, put two and two together. This is not a positive invention. It's meant for pretty bad things. Specifically, this is just a standard working helmet with epoxy resin on top and a couple of wires that lead to those shells. And allegedly this was built 50 years ago and used, but I'm not too sure on that. Really hard to verify that info.
Hepinizi saygıyla selamlıyorum.
A lot of people consider this passing right here pretty ironic, but I'm going to tell you guys the story and you can make that choice yourself. This is a video that I stumbled across on Reddit that shows a member of the Grand National Assembly in Turkey giving a speech. Things seem normal at first, but at the very end of his speech, the guy starts wobbling, and then he collapses behind the podium from a heart attack. Now this happened back in 2023, and the guy that was giving the speech was Hassan Bitmez. During this speech, he was denouncing Israel, specifically in the context of the Israel-Hamas war, stating that Israel and anyone along with them is going to face the wrath of Allah. And this was the last line of his speech. Immediately after saying this is when he suffered the heart attack. He was rushed to a hospital and he was resuscitated shortly after he suffered the heart attack, but 2 days later he ended up passing away. So let me know what you guys think. Is this coincidental timing or a sign from above?
Do not stick your tongue in there.
This right here is the face of instant regret. And you know what the best part about this is? You didn't have to do this. Pretty easy to see what's going on in this video. This guy has caught himself a crustacean and he's trying to test his reaction time with his tongue. Sadly, his reaction time was not fast enough and his tongue got pinched, and it took about 20 seconds before the crustacean finally let go. Now, a lot of people seem to think that this was a crayfish. However, as you guys can see, this definitely looks more like a crab. And there are only two crabs I think this could potentially be. Number one is a mud crab. These guys have a pretty strong pinch force, so getting that onto your tongue would be horrible. Or number two, which I think is more likely, is a brown river crab. These guys are freshwater, slightly smaller, and do not have as strong of a pinch force. In any event, the reaction time from your tongue versus a crab's claw is going to be non-comparable. The crab is going to win almost every time.
This woman is lucky to be alive.
I know stuff like this very, very rarely happens, but to be honest with you guys, this is exactly why I don't do bungee jumping. So this video was recently posted to social media, and it shows this woman by the name of Erin bungee jumping. She jumps off, and at first things seem to be going normally until the bungee line snaps and she drops straight into the river. Now, I'm not too sure why this is just now going viral and just now being talked about, but this happened back in 2012, and here we can see Erin herself. She was visiting Zambia at the time, and this bungee jumping excursion had her dropping around 360 feet. So when she fell, obviously her chances of surviving were very small. On top of this, the river below was a crocodile-infested one, and depending on the bungee jumping setup, your feet are going to be pushed together, so if you fall into water, it's going to be very hard to swim. Miraculously though, Erin did end up surviving and making a full recovery.
This video is really not funny, it's tragic.
Of course, a lot of people thought this was funny, but you know what, guys? The fun police is here. This is honestly sad. This video that I got tagged in on TikTok shows this bird completely unresponsive and this guy trying to help it. He places the bird on top of this pole, but instead of flying away, the bird ends up falling directly into the grass. Without any context, there's no way of knowing exactly what's going on here, but more than likely, I think this bird suffered a concussion. Obviously, as all of you guys know, birds have a tendency to accidentally fly into windows, and when they're flying around 20 miles per hour, this can cause a lot of brain damage. And as a result, birds will end up concussed. These symptoms will usually manifest themselves in head tilting and loss of balance with the inability to fly. If you do encounter a bird with these symptoms and you want to try to save it, make it a box, bring it some blankets, keep an eye on it, and if things aren't getting better, you can bring it to a vet as well.
If this is in your food, you have to sue.
If something like this ever happens to you, you 100% have the right to sue, and you could potentially make a lot of money. In the clip that you guys just watched, we can see this woman unpacking a Chick-fil-A sandwich that she just bought when she noticed a small piece of plastic sticking out of the side. But instead of being tiny and popping right out, it turns out to be a massive piece of plastic, and a lot of people think this is a condom. Now, as far as I can tell, this incident happened back in April of last year, and from my research, I couldn't find anything about a lawsuit being brought against Chick-fil-A. That being said, finding random objects in your food is not as uncommon as you would want it to be, and in a lot of cases, people have successfully sued for tons of money. Of course, there are varying degrees of severity, but this individual, for example, cracked their tooth on a bolt that they found in chicken as well. So if this happened to me and it's something that looked a lot like what we just talked about, I would definitely be. And to this day, nobody knows who did it.
If this is in your home, don't kill it.
Money.
Okay, first off, I don't think this spider's overreacting. Imagine seeing something thousands of times your size coming towards you. You're gonna freak out. With that out of the way, this is a TikTok video that I got tagged in that shows this person approaching a cellar spider. But once they get close, the spider starts gyrating, and a lot of people were quick to say they wanted to squash this spider, but guess what, guys? These are actually helpful. As previously mentioned, this is a type of spider known as a cellar spider, and just like their name suggests, they typically like to hang out in places well far away from you guys, usually in the basement or attic. Usually their webs are pretty haphazard, so if you see something that looks like cobwebs, it's probably from these guys. But here's why you want them around. First off, they're not dangerous towards you, and second, they consume a ton of household pests. And further still, the best part about these guys is when there's no other food around, they will actually consume each other, so their population never really gets out of control. I 100% agree with you guys. This right here is very creepy, but also I do kind of feel bad for this creature. This is a video that recently went viral on TikTok that got 70 million views, and in it, these people are exploring an abandoned building. We can see that they've got this one little piece of this wall here held up, and then they drop it down, and we can hear this creature growling, and it kind of sounds like a demon. But hiding behind that little plank was not actually a demon, of course. It was, in reality, just a baby vulture. Most people don't know this, but vultures actually don't make nests. Usually they'll go with whatever they can find, like caves or abandoned buildings in this case. And as for the demonic noise, vultures actually communicate through hisses. So I do feel bad for this vulture in this case because its cover has been blown and it's probably terrified. If you guys were on TikTok back in 2020, you probably remember this photo from Photos with Disturbing Backstories. Here we revisit it in this TikTok slideshow created by Mr. Poughkeepsie, first starting off with firefighters and the caption, "We live, we love, and we die," showing this image of a firefighter by the name of Gary Box. To give you guys some context to this photo, it was taken on September 11th of 2001. Obviously, this is the date that the World Trade Centers ended up collapsing. This photo was taken by a digital camera in the Brooklyn Battery Tunnel, and Gary Box was on his way to Ground Zero to attempt, obviously, to rescue people. Within roughly an hour of that photo being taken, though, unfortunately, both World Trade Centers ended up collapsing, and Gary was inside one of them when that happened. Tragically, Gary's remains were not recovered from the wreckage, but obviously his memory still lives on, seeing as this photo is extremely viral.
This man came back from the dead.
You might be wondering why this guy is walking around in such a confused manner, and that's because he just died. So a bunch of you guys tagged me in this TikTok video where this person can be seen confused walking around, and the video claims that this person experienced something known as matisuri, or a near-death encounter. And while I couldn't find any validity to that video being real, this is something that does happen. Specifically, this is something oftentimes referred to as Lazarus syndrome, and yes, that's in relation to the Bible character. And to break it down simply, this is when a person undergoes clinical death, so no signs of a heartbeat and no signs of respiration, and they randomly come back to life and their vitals return to normal. This is highly rare in the medical field, especially without intervention from people performing CPR, for example, but again, it does occasionally happen.
Apple! What?
Holy crap, guys, would you look at that? For once, we actually have a Hey Apple slideshow with a happy subject. So this TikTok slideshow starts off by saying, "Hey USA," a map of the United States saying what, and finally the next dates for the total lunar eclipse with the Americas smack dab in the middle. So if you're watching this video and it's before the evening of March 13th through the morning of March 14th, and you live in this area here, that means you have a chance to see this. For those that don't know what a total lunar eclipse is, it's when the Earth blocks sunlight that goes directly to the moon, and therefore the moon turns blood red. For my audience who primarily lives in the United States, this is going to start Thursday night at approximately 11:30 p.m. Pacific time, or 2:30 in the morning Eastern. And if you're not able to watch it on the 14th, maybe you've got cloud cover, don't worry, we also have another one on September 7th. Guys, can we please stop re-spreading misinformation? It's like on a clock. Every 6 months, same slideshows pop up. This one was recently posted, it's just now starting to pick up steam, and people are actually believing it. In it, we can see this guy floating in what looks to be the middle of the ocean. We then see a buoy out in the distance, and finally the claim that this guy is at Point Nemo. Just as a quick recap, Point Nemo is the most isolated spot in the ocean, furthest away from land in all directions, and if you were there, you'd be closer to the astronauts on the ISS than anyone on Earth. Now this guy right here, the one that people think is actually at Point Nemo, is a TikToker by the name of Madzak, and this is basically his whole shtick. He pretends to be lost at sea, and this is basically his content. So besides the fact that being lost at sea for 5 years is not possible to survive, there's nothing at Point Nemo in terms of a buoy. It's just wide open, endless ocean. To answer your question simply, no, you are not being pranked, but you don't really have anything to worry about. This video that I got tagged in on TikTok shows this person just relaxing on the beach when all of a sudden this loud, blaring noise starts playing from the dunes behind them. And it's kind of hard to make out what's being said in this sound, but basically it's just saying this is a test. Upon doing some further digging, I found out that video was recorded in Florida. Florida experiences a lot of hurricanes, and therefore they have a lot of weather sirens. These weather sirens can be found all over the country, and it's very common for them to be tested at least once per month. That one's Cannon Beach, Oregon, by the way. So presumably that was a very basic test to make sure the siren still works, just in case a hurricane blows through. You obviously have to be able to warn people.
When the North and South Sea mix.
Alright man, you guys have to stop with the misinformation TikToks. These are getting out of hand. This is a TikTok video that I got tagged in that has the caption, "When the North Sea and South Sea meet," and it appears to show two different bodies of water that have a clear line between them that aren't mixing. And this is bad because this video absolutely popped off, getting 53 million views, and people are actually believing this video, commenting things like, "Some things are mysteries, not meant to be known." Buddy, we know exactly what's going on here. Those videos do not show the North and South Sea meeting each other, it actually shows seawater and freshwater meeting each other. Specifically estuaries, which is when a river flows into the ocean carrying sediment, which is oftentimes going to be dirt and silt, and this will float on top and create what looks to be a barrier between the salt and freshwater. And the appearance of it not mixing all has to do with the density, although eventually it will mix.
If you see this on the beach, leave it alone.
I am no marine biologist, nor do I claim to be, but I do think that I could potentially help you out in figuring out what this is. This is a video that recently went viral on TikTok. In it, this person has discovered something that looks like a peeled grape on the beach. And I was fine with just letting the commenters answer this question, but most of the comments said that it's a salp egg, and honestly, I disagree. For those that don't know, salp are oftentimes the clear blobs that wash up on beaches, and the reason I don't think that's what it is because they're usually clear. And this sea creature right here looks a lot more like the one that was seen in the original video than a salp. What I believe we're actually looking at here in the original video is something known as a sweet potato sea cucumber, and specifically I believe that it's a juvenile or a young one. And this is further supported by the fact that these sea cucumbers do burrow in the sand as well, so it wouldn't be out of the question to find one on the beach.
Hey, Apple! What?
At first glance, this definitely looks like something that's virtually impossible to survive, but believe it or not, this guy walked away with minor injuries. This is another Hey Apple slideshow posted by Mr. Poughkeepsie, first starting off with an image of a truck saying Hey Apple, an image of a Lambo saying what, and finally an image of a Lambo that is sandwiched right underneath the trailer of one of these trucks. This happened back in 2023, specifically July, and this was actually a rented Lamborghini. He was driving about 100 miles per hour when he lost control and crashed. Realistically, one of the reasons why he survived is probably because this model of Lamborghini is so close to the ground. If he had been driving in a standard-sized car, the trailer probably would have connected somewhere around here or down here, and then there definitely would not have been a chance of survival. There are also photos from the inside of the car. Unfortunately, I can't show them because there's red liquid in there, but if you guys want to, you can go look that up yourself.
If your feet look like this, go to the doctor.
Being honest with you guys, there's no way of knowing exactly what caused this without an actual diagnosis, but there are a few things that it could be. This video was sent to me through Instagram DM. In it, we can see this guy taking some public transportation, and up here, we can see somebody's foot exposed. And when the cameraman zooms in on the foot, we can see that it's definitely not the greatest thing to look at. So when you see somebody that has feet like this, it could potentially be an indicator for an individual that has diabetes. Diabetes patients oftentimes have to pay a lot of attention to their foot health because during the course of the disease, there's tons of nerve damage that takes place and their feet aren't able to repair themselves, nor is their immune system really present. As a result, it's very easy for things like fungus to take root, and this can cause toenail thickening as well as skin thickening and cracking. So that could potentially explain what's going on with this individual's foot.
Do not mess with these stingless bees.
For most people seeing this, this is a hard pass, and to be honest with you guys, I'm not a big fan of this either. This video has been reposted to social media countless times, but this time I keep getting tagged in it, so we're going to cover it. In it, we can see something that looks like it's straight up from a sci-fi movie, and you guys might not believe me when I tell you this, but this is not an alien life form. This is actually just a beehive. Now, the types of bees that build hives like this are known as stingless bees, and specifically a lot of people seem to think that the vulture bee is the one who created the hive in the original video. And vulture bees are pretty interesting because they consume rotting meat, or carrion, just like their name suggests, and they bring it back to their hive and create meat honey. In reality, it's not really honey. They consume the meat, regurgitate it, and then store it into these specialized pots. But this is one of the reasons why their hive looks so random. They just store the meat where they can, really.
Nobody knows what this shadow is.
I'll admit, it took me a little bit to figure out what this was because I'm so tired today, but eventually I did figure it out. This is a TikTok video that I got tagged in. This person is clearly sitting inside of an airplane, and on the ground you'll notice there's a very long shadow. And the caption here says, "Does anyone know what this huge line shadow is?" A lot of people made jokes about this being the shadow of the metal holding up the earth, but all jokes aside, this is actually just the shadow of the contrails that planes leave behind. The same exact way that clouds leave shadows, contrails do as well. They're basically just condensed water vapor. From here, it really depends on the angle of the sun as to whether or not you're going to see the shadow from the plane. If the sun is behind the plane, you will see the shadow very clearly. So in this video, the sun is probably right back here in relationship to the plane because the very end of the shadow is right there. Kind of looks like the plane is trying to catch up to the shadow.
If your phone looks like this, don't touch it.
Alright, so straight up, just telling you right now, if your phone battery, any battery for that matter, looks like this, dispose of it immediately in the safest way possible. Don't play around with it. Quite a few of you guys tagged me in this TikTok video where this person shows their phone. It looks normal at first until they flip it over and show their phone battery that looks exactly like a pillow. So batteries in phones swell for a variety of different reasons. It can be because of overcharging, overuse, or just the fact that it's an old battery and it's ran the course of its life. Swollen batteries, though, are not something to play around with. They have the potential to explode. They have done so in the past and burned people pretty badly. For example, here's a computer whose old swollen batteries ended up exploding and catching fire. If it's hot enough to burn the computer, it's hot enough to burn you. This person was also poking the battery with what looks to be a screwdriver, so all around, very bad idea.
Do you think she did this on purpose?
Poison alcohol.
Regardless of whether or not this was done on purpose, this is extremely dangerous. This is a video that's recently gone viral online. It shows these young women in a 4x200 relay race, and this shocking moment where this runner seems to purposefully hit this one over the back of the head with their baton. So the athlete here that got struck on the back of the head is a junior by the name of Kaylin, and the athlete that made contact with Kaylin and her baton is this one, Alila. Now, immediately after this incident happened, Kaylin ended up running off of the track and reportedly suffered a concussion because getting hit in the back of the head is one of the most dangerous spots on your head to be hit. Now, Alila does claim that this was a complete accident, that her intentions would never be to hurt anybody, but of course, a lot of people don't believe this because the footage does look somewhat intentional. But I'll let you guys decide what you think. Crazier things have happened in the realm of competition.
Hey, Apple! What?
Despite the nature of this case, this actually happened in the late 1920s, so it's pretty surprising. This is a Hey Apple video that I got tagged in, starting off by showing 3 individuals, then a man by the name of Nelson Raymeyer, and finally the spot where Nelson's life was taken. In the year of 1928, a man by the name of John Blymeyer believed that one of the people who lived in his town, Nelson, put a hex on him, aka cursed him. And this is because Nelson was a practitioner of powwow, which is basically Dutch traditional medicine. John, however, did not understand this, so he enlisted the help of 2 other individuals who went to Nelson's house and took his life. They then attempted to burn Nelson and hoped that this would catch the house on fire, but this actually didn't happen. Instead, the house remained completely fine. Nelson's charred remains were found right here, and John and his friends were sentenced to life in prison.
Anybody ever see a turtle run? Hey, I was gonna... Oh.
There's no way of knowing whether or not this turtle's actually fine, but I really want to believe it is, so I'm going to make you guys believe it as well. This video that I got tagged in went super viral on TikTok. It shows this soft-shelled turtle running towards a storm drain. The turtle then squeezes under this small gap and then drops in, and a very loud sound comes out. So first off, storm drains usually have catch basins. These can vary in depth, but most of the time they also hold water, so that turtle could have landed in water. And even if there wasn't water in the catch basin, soft-shelled turtles are not actually that fragile, so it would probably survive a fall of up to around 8 feet. And from here, your number one worry might be whether or not the turtle is going to be trapped, but no, storm drains do have an outlet. That water has to run somewhere. Then again, there are a variety of other animals that live in the storm drains, and the turtle might not be by itself. Hopefully there's no predator down there.
This crab is already dead, and it knows it.
I want you to actually just imagine for a second being this crab and how terrifying this would be. This is a video that goes viral once or twice a year. It's gone viral again and a bunch of you guys are tagging me in it. And in it, we can see this creature that kind of looks like Venom going after a crab. And by the end of the video, it's clear this poor crab stands no chance. It is completely enveloped. Well, the creature that we're looking at here, of course, is not actually Venom. We're actually looking at a polyclad flatworm. These guys obviously live in the water, and surprisingly, they're quite small. They only grow up to around 4 inches in length. Even so, despite their small size, they will prey on crustaceans. Obviously, though, those crustaceans have to be quite small themselves. They also have something known as a folded pharynx, and all you need to know here is it allows them to swallow prey whole. They just have to get all the way around it, and that prey is cooked, done for. This was one of those shipwrecks that you were able to see on Google Earth, but since then it has been cleaned up. This TikTok that I got tagged in shows a couple different photos. The first image shows this beautiful view, and the second image, which is clearly more dark, shows the remains of a large cruise ship. And the same goes for the second set of photos. So the cruise ship that you guys are seeing here is the Costa Concordia, which sank back in 2012 after deviating from its normal course and hitting a rock. The ship ended up partially capsizing right off the coastline, and sadly 32 people ended up losing their lives, so definitely not a low death toll. The wreck only sat there for about 2 years until eventually in 2014 they welded a bunch of flotation devices to it and towed to a separate location where it was scrapped and finished being scrapped in 2017. This process was very lengthy and clearly very difficult, but they did end up getting it done.
This man is making a big mistake.
For 10 bucks, bro? You did this for 10 bucks? You're actually nuts. Okay, so obviously you guys know I had to talk about this. This is a TikTok that I got tagged in that shows this guy without his shirt on and a bunch of fiberglass insulation on the floor. He then proceeds to roll around on top of it without a shirt on and apparently did this for just $10. Obviously, as its name implies, fiberglass is made with very tiny pieces of glass. And if you handle it without protection, those pieces of glass can become embedded in your skin. And because of this, you can actually end up developing a fiberglass rash, which can last from 10 to 72 hours. Keep in mind, some people build up a tolerance to fiberglass, they don't have to use gloves, but your back is not going to have that tolerance, so he's definitely going to end up feeling it at least. So worst case scenario, this guy experiences 72 hours of itchiness, meaning he did this for about 13 cents an hour.
What is wrong with this buck's antlers?
I do recognize that immediately this looks very striking, but I promise you guys this buck is completely fine. This is a video that was recently reposted to TikTok. In it, we can see this buck, and the antlers look terrifying. It's almost as though small flaps of meat are hanging off of the ends of it, but again, this is normal. When it comes to animals like deer, elk, or moose, their antlers are going to go through a wide range of changes throughout the year. Coming up in the springtime, for example, bucks' antlers are going to start regrowing, and on them there's going to be something known as velvet. But in late summer, early fall, when the bucks are getting ready to mate, the velvet is going to fall off. This is primarily due to an increase in testosterone and a restriction of blood flow to the velvet. The deer will lose that velvet within 24 hours, and they'll usually just rub it against a tree or another object to get rid of it. But basically what we're seeing here is a buck in the middle of losing its velvet. Clearly the world is a very interesting place, but come on guys, can we please be based in reality for a second? So this TikTok slideshow that I got tagged in draws some attention to spherical stones that have been found all over the world and poses a simple question. Who made this? Are these the eggs of UFOs? Really not sure what that means. Or was this made by a natural entity? Well, I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but no, those are both wrong. So first off, this stone sphere right here is one of many located in Costa Rica that were created by a now extinct culture that existed between the years of 600 to 1500 AD. They were made with simple tools, and obviously it took quite some time to create them. These other stone spheres are presumably natural and are oftentimes referred to as concretions. They're made over many, many years, layers and layers are added on, and the weather makes it perfectly round. You can find a ton of these rocks naturally on the beach, specifically Moiraki Beach.
This lion is accepted.
These 3 individuals right here should be released and their charges dropped, but you guys let me know what you think after you hear. This slideshow starts off by saying, "I love my sister," "I would do anything for my sister," then shows an image of 3 young men, Alejandro, Christian, and Juan. Alejandro and Christian had a stepfather by the name of Gabriel Quintanilla, who was suspected of inappropriately touching their younger sister. This, of course, and rightfully so, angered everyone in this inner circle, including Christian, Alejandro, and their friend Juan, and this made them lash out towards Gabriel. They allegedly pursued Gabriel numerous times within a short period of time, eventually succeeding on catching up to him, and this is when they did the damage and dumped him in a field.
Can you spot what's wrong here?
Really just think about this for a second. Every single time you swallow something, more or less, it looks like this. This video shows something known as an esophagram, and we get this inside look at somebody swallowing some fluid. And for the most part, this might seem relatively normal, but apparently what's going on here is something known as achalasia. For those that don't know, achalasia is a rare condition of the esophagus where muscles aren't exactly working as they should, therefore food and drink have a hard time making its way into the stomach. There's a relatively wide range of symptoms here for this condition, but for the most part, it'll feel as though you have food stuck in your throat, you might regurgitate food, have chest pain, and weight loss. And one of the main ways to tell that achalasia is going on an esophagram is by the tapering of the esophagus down here. You'll see it kind of looks like a bird's beak. This condition by itself doesn't really lower your lifespan at all, but in general, it's just very uncomfortable.
Where did its top teeth go?
Where did the top teeth go? Well, I'll tell you this right now, they're still inside of the shark's mouth. This video that I got tagged in on TikTok shows these people shark diving inside of a cave. We can see this one shark coming up. At first, you don't really see the teeth, and then the teeth pop back out before seemingly vanishing again. In humans, this would be very concerning, but when it comes to sharks, this is completely normal because of how their mouth is designed. Unlike humans who have teeth with roots, shark teeth do not have this. They're actually attached to something known as the tooth bed, and this is connective tissue, meaning it's very easy for teeth to fall out if they're supposed to. This, coupled with the fact that a shark's jaw bites outward, really makes it appear as though it can retract its teeth and bring them back out at will, kind of like a cat's claws. By the way, sharks will go through thousands of teeth in their lifetime as well. Their jaws and mouth are very, very unique, so I would highly recommend looking it up and learning more about it.